This is a brand new Nautique G23, and this is a brand new Centurion Ri230. These are considered to be two of the best surf boats in the world, and we're gonna put them head to head to see how they compare against each other. We're gonna look at the wakeboard wave, we're gonna look at the surf waves, we're gonna look at the setup, we're gonna look at how they drive and handle, and we're gonna look at the fuel economy. Let's go. What's up guys, this is Mitch from BoardCo. This morning we're out here with a Nautique G23 and a Centurion Ri230 to compare these boats head to head. These boats are regarded as the two best 23-foot surf boats currently on the market, and so we're pretty excited to compare them against each other and see how they stack up. We're going to take a look at how these boats drive and handle on the water, comparing the wakeboard wakes, the surf waves, as well as how much fuel each one of these boats burns while you're surfing. So we're going to drop these two boats in the water on this snowy morning and see what happens. All right guys, we are here in the Nautique. This is Dalton. He is actually the owner of this boat and was kind enough to come out and hang out with us here and let us do some testing and check things out. Big surf boat enthusiast that's going to be helping us figure out how to dial everything in and make sure that we're running the right settings to give the optimal surf wave and the optimal wakeboard wake in this boat. So sweet. Dalton, yeah. Any thoughts you have on anything?
No, excited to be here. So
yeah, excited to have you here. So thank you for letting us use your boat, and really excited for you guys to be able to see what we're putting together. All right, we are now here in the G23, and I'm going to show you what kind of surf setup that we're going to be running. We've currently got the surf mode engaged. We're running 11.8 miles an hour. We've got the wave shape set at a 7 out of 10. This is going to be towards the steeper settings. You can go even steeper and as well as a little mellower, and we'll show you what each one of those settings looks like and what that is here in a bit. But we're going to start with it running at a 7. And then as far as ballast goes, we've got 100% in full in everything, including the supplemental ballast, with the one exception of we have the one supplemental ballast set at about 80% to make it so it's going to clean up the wave and tilt it just slightly to the side that we're surfing on. One note on this is Nautique is among a bunch of different manufacturers that just basically have the push of going, hey, just fill up your ballast 100% all the way. If you talk to any owners of the boats or guys that really use them a ton, you know the way to get the very best wave shape is to make it so you offset it just slightly, similar to what you do on every other boat, including a Centurion. And this goes for a Nautique, Malibu, Mastercraft, every single other boat that's out there. So what we do is just empty that off, drain about 20%, take a couple minutes. That'll optimize the surf wave on the left side. Though we would, just like any other boat, want to run with all of the ballast full if we're going to be doing wave transfers, jumping from one side to the other and back and things like that. So now that we've got these surf settings, let's go through and see what this wave looks like. All right, we are now here in the Centurion Ri230. We've got the wave set up right now in what I generally consider to be the most standard settings. We'll show you this as well as some other different settings so you can see the different wave shape capabilities. But we've got the quick surf plate set at a 70 and the center plate set at 20. Now this can be a very easy setting that you can run and just, you know, this is basically the setting you run when you just fill up everything and press surf left or surf right. You also have rider profile presets that you can just select whatever rider you want to do, like let's say pro surf left or pro surf right, and hit activate. The one really nice thing is that this boat has the capability to be able to be customizable, or it can be just very simple. So you can run it with simple settings like we've got now, but if we wanted to fine tune and adjust each one of the plates, whether it be the center stinger plate or the side plates, we can do that if we want to fine tune and change the shape of the lip of the wake. And we'll show you that here in just a little bit. As far as ballast goes, we have all of the ballast in the boat full, except for the ram fill tank on the side that we're not surfing on, which is set to 75%. So we've got it basically in the same type of setup as we were running in the Nautique, with just a little bit of counterweight to make sure that the wave is perfectly clean and smooth and you don't get any whitewash as a result of not offsetting the weight slightly. One last note as far as offsetting the weight that is really nice in this boat is that we've got ram fill, so that change of going from 100 to 75% ballast on one side can be achieved in about 15 seconds as opposed to having to wait a couple minutes to make that change. First up, the G23. As you can see, we're running the same settings we discussed earlier, and the wave that this boat produces is big and powerful and is a great overall surf wave. We are actually fairly impressed with the wave on this boat, as it far outperforms many other boats that we have tested from other different manufacturers. One very notable thing when it comes to the Nautique wave is the shape. It is steep or steeper. In fact, there's really no shape other than steep when we're talking about a Nautique wake. The other interesting thing is the shape of the wake is truly unique on a Nautique, meaning that it's not just steep, but it has a very unique shape that's almost like a stair step that goes on in the wave. This stair step effect is something that a lot of riders really don't enjoy or don't like because it can lead you to mess up different tricks, whether that be pulling a 360, even just carving on the wave, or airing off the lip of it. Aside from that factor, the wave was big, powerful, and overall a great experience for just about anybody to surf on. Next up, the Centurion Ri230. We've got the same setup that we were talking about previously, running the same settings, and as you can see, the wave is also big, powerful, and is a great overall wave to surf on. The main difference between this is the overall shape of the wave, with the Ri wave being a lot smoother, consistent wave compared to the Nautique. This is primarily due to the surf system and the hull design on the Centurion that is specifically tuned and optimized for surfing as compared to the Nautique, which is a better tuned wake for high-end wakeboarding versus surfing. Probably the biggest difference between the waves on these two boats can be seen from this overhead shot where you can see the wave length in comparison between them. You see the Centurion wave, due mainly to the hull design of the boat, stretches out a lot further back behind the boat than what you experience in the Nautique. The Nautique wave is great and has a lot of power, however that power is concentrated in a really short area, where on the Centurion it's a much longer surfable area that's going to really help with doing things such as bottom turns, snaps, airs, and even landing that elusive 360. Last thing that we wanted to show you before we wrap this up are the differences between the two surf waves and how you can set them up. We're going to show you the waves without riders on them so you can see the different settings and what they do. Right here, this is the both waves set up with really steep wave settings, with the Nautique running at about a 8 or 9, and the Centurion with the side plate at about a 60 and the center plate at about a 0. As you can see, they're both throw really powerful wake surf waves that are really steep and really aggressive. This is an ideal wave for people that are riding boards with big, long, deep fins, and or that are really big riders that want a lot of additional push and power to keep them in the pocket. Next up, we're going to drop it down and show you the mellow wave between these two boats. As you can see, the Nautique wave is still got a fair bit of steepness to it and looks like just a much smaller version of the wave that we previously looked at. A lot of the power has gone away out of the wave because the wave has just dissipated down. On the Centurion, on the other hand, you see the size is still there, however the shape has changed to be more of a smooth rolling style wave. This is going to be a much easier wave for doing things such as spinning or turning on the top, way better for skim style riders, or a lot better for smaller riders such as women or kids or even smaller adult men. This right here is going to highlight the biggest difference between these two boats. It's not necessarily the overall wave that they can potentially throw, because they're both fantastic. It's a matter of what is going to be the optimal surf wave for you and for everybody in your crew that is going out and riding. The only downside when it comes to the Nautique surf capabilities is that you essentially get a single wave that you can make either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. Where in the Centurion, you have a lot more customization capability to dial in the wave to be the perfect, ideal surf wave for any rider who gets back behind it. We're now here in the G23 and going to be taking a look at how much gas this boat burns while you are surfing. We've got a Diacom hooked up to the motor in this boat right here, and we've got screen record active on the computer, so we're actually going to just straight record what comes here on the screen so you can see it. One of the great things about this, what you'll see on the Diacom readout, is not just the amount of fuel that the boat is burning, but all of the other factors as well. You'll be able to see things like speed and RPMs and all of the other different things that factor in. So you can, and these are the same tools that technicians use in order to diagnose issues or things like that on the boats, but we're just going to use it to measure fuel burn and fuel output as the boat is driving. So let's get started and see what we get. Now you can see a screen capture of the Nautique G23 and how much fuel is burning. You can see at the moment we're running right about 3,300 RPMs, and we are burning around 21 to 22 gallons per hour while we are underway. Now, to give you some perspective, normally fuel burn on average overall is about 60% of how much gas the boat is burning while surfing. Meaning that if it's burning 22 gallons an hour, you're going to burn right about 11 or 12 gallons per hour on average if you're out on the lake surfing. What this means is with the 65-gallon fuel tank in the Nautique G23, you can expect about a 5.5 to 6 hour runtime on a single tank of fuel. Now that we've seen how much fuel burn happens with the Nautique while surfing, let's check out the Centurion Ri230. All right, we're here in the Ri230. We've got the Diacom system hooked up. We're gonna be able to show you the fuel burn of this boat while we are out surfing. Now, the Centurion is a little bit unique and different in that the fuel is not only going to, the fuel burn is not only going to display here through the Diacom system on my laptop, though I have the screen record functions, you can see exactly what spits out. We also have the fuel burn directly in the dash screen. So Centurion is the only manufacturer in the towboat industry that is assigned to actually give you a live fuel economy update. Now, this is really fun and cool for comparing fuel burn compared to other boats, but it's also a really nice function because you can change and adjust how you're driving, how you're surfing, all the different things you're doing without your boat in order to optimize for fuel efficiency if you so choose, in a similar way that you can do it in your car when you got live fuel efficiency monitoring. So with that being said, let's take a look and see exactly how much this boat burns while we're out there surfing. Now we're up and going. We have a screen capture going on this Diacom readout on the computer. You can see we are running at right about 3,400 RPMs, and we are burning right around 12.5 to 13 gallons per hour. What we have found is that average fuel use that you get throughout a day is about 60% of how much gas the boat burns while it is surfing. Meaning that if you have a fuel burn rate of about 13 gallons an hour, you can expect to burn around 6.5 to 7 gallons an hour on average throughout the day. This means in the Centurion Ri230, you can expect a total daily runtime on a single tank of gas to be anywhere from 11.5 to 12 hours of runtime. Basically a complete full day out on the water, probably plus some since most people are not spending full 12 hours out on the water without ever shutting their boat off. Now, invariably, if we ever talk about fuel efficiency on the boats, there's one major thing that comes up, and that is the statement of, if you care about fuel economy, you probably shouldn't be buying one of these different boats. Well, we agree that the boats are expensive, and gas as a percentage of how much the boat costs is not a major factor. The big difference here is convenience. As you can see, the Centurion can run for twice as long as the Nautique on a single tank of fuel. That means if you're at a place like Lake Powell, it can be the difference between fueling up every single day, or in some cases more than once a day, to fueling up every other day, or in some cases even every 3 days. It's really more of a convenience factor and the ability to take your boat out further and for longer than it is about the actual cost of the gas that you're burning, though that is a notable expense you have to factor in. We're now going to check out the wakeboard wakes on each of these boats. The G23 has a reputation of being the best wakeboarding boat ever built, so we're going to see how that stacks up when compared against the Centurion Ri230. First up, the G23. In this clip, you can see the G is set up with full ballast, including the additional supplemental ballast, and is running at 21 miles an hour. The wake is firm, consistent, clean, and holds up the reputation that it's had as being one of the best wakeboard wakes ever produced by a boat. This is a wakeboard wake that is set up for an elite level rider and is way bigger than what most people would want, but it also throws a great wakeboard wake with less ballast in the boat. Now that we've seen what the G23 can do, let's take a look at the Centurion Ri230. Just like the Nautique, this wake is set up with all of the factory ballast in the boat, including the plug-and-play ballast and a speed of 21 miles an hour, just like the Nautique. You can see that the wakes are actually more similar than they are different, with the Centurion wake being a little bit more pitched up than the Nautique, with the Nautique having more of a trough before it approaches into the wake. Both of these wakes are going to be top-notch quality and probably far more than anything you'll ever want or need for most level riders behind the boat. As we suspected, the Nautique holds its position as probably being the best wakeboard boat out there because of its ability to continuously build a bigger wake with even more ballast added in. You could add an additional 2,000 pounds of ballast on top of what we already had in this boat, and it's still going to produce a clean, consistent wake, though it will be a bit more finicky than it is with just stock ballast. The Centurion, on the other hand, was pretty close to maxed out ballast with what we had in the boat. Once again, this is way more than most people will ever want or need, but this is going to be where the Nautique steps up and throws a better overall wakeboard wake for pro level riders. If you're advanced level or below, there's really going to be almost no difference between these two boats. All right, now both of these boats are definitely dedicated surf and wakeboard boats, but every once in a while people want to put on a slalom ski if it's a glassy day, kind of like you see here behind me, which is absolutely beautiful. So let's check out the water ski wakes on these two boats. Lastly, let's talk about the price tag between these two boats. Now, the two boats we are out here with are both fully loaded, decked out versions of that model. A fully decked out Nautique G23 and a decked out Centurion Ri230. For 2024, for a G23 equipped about this way, you can plan on spending somewhere between $280,000 and $315,000, depending on where you're located and the exact options and features that are on the boat. This may adjust up or down depending on different things such as the options that you have selected and the motor that is in the boat. By contrast, the Centurion Ri230, you can expect to spend anywhere from about $200,000 to $240,000 for this same boat, once again depending on the options and features that you select, as well as what engine you put in the boat. There's definitely ways that either one of these boats could be outside the numbers that we discussed, but this is the most common way that each one of these boats is set up, at least the way that they're optioned for use here in Utah where we're located, though that may be slightly different depending on where you're located throughout the country. Well, we hope this has been a helpful video for you guys. Do you think that we did these boats justice? Comment and let us know exactly what you think. Also, check out the other videos if you want to go on a further deep dive on the comparison between these two, where we compare a bunch of additional aspects we didn't have time to cover in this video, as well as the super deep dive we talk about fuel economy, why a Centurion and why a Nautique produce the numbers that you just saw, and what the difference really is between them and what causes it. Don't forget to check out BoardCo.com for more info. We'll see you later.